General K knelt before the throne as the Emperor glared down at him with his hooked and brutal beak. The general held his position, enduring the withering stares of the room full of sycophants, until the Emperor finally spoke a single word: report. The honorifics to which the general was entitled were conspicuously absent, a snub that felt like a physical blow to K's unprotected belly. He rose to his feet, steeling his nerves. "My Lord Emperor, we were defeated by the humans," General K said, his voice steady. The Emperor's response was swift and cutting. "We are aware of your failure. One does not lose a third of their military without noticing," the Emperor remarked coldly. The throne room, typically a hub of whispers and intrigue, was silent, as if the very stars beyond had stilled to listen. "Of course, Your Highness," K said, slightly bowing. The Emperor leaned forward, eager for more details. "We would hear the reason for your failure and how the humans routed you." K could feel the eyes of the courtiers and sycophants piercing his soul. He swallowed hard, struggling to keep his composure. "My lord, we advanced to the planet Arendar in force. The natives had developed a new drive for starships, one that promised faster and more efficient ships. Your Highness wisely directed us to secure this technology for the glory of your empire." The general's mouth felt dry, his lips sluggish, his tongue heavy. He continued despite the struggle, outlining the steps of the invasion. Admiral Hidge had been in charge of fleet operations, while K commanded the ground forces. The admiral destroyed all opposition in orbit, securing the system with overwhelming firepower. The glory of the empire was evident as the enemy's defenses crumbled. Within days, General K began landing troops on the planet. However, the general admitted uncertainty. "We were uncertain of the location of the prototypes and schematics," K said. They deployed the Empire's best soldiers across the planet's research facilities, while K led 4 divisions to attack the capital. The enemy was no match for the Emperor's radiant might. In less than 3 days, the capital was theirs. The Emperor nodded, signaling the general to continue. Just after dawn on the 5th day, the Admiral alerted K to a new fleet exiting FDL, faster-than-light travel. The Admiral had dismissed it as insignificant, but that fleet would soon prove deadly. "It was a pitiful fleet, barely worth mentioning," K repeated hollowly, lost in the memory of what came next. The new fleet was smaller, a mere fraction of the size of the Empire's forces. Simulations predicted only a 20% chance of human victory, with heavy losses. The Emperor's silent gaze demanded more as murmurs rippled through the room, quickly silenced by the Emperor's fearsome glare. K continued, his voice quieter. By midday, all contact with the Admiral was lost. He would later learn that the humans had jammed communications throughout the system as their first volley. Their warships descended on the Imperial fleet like predators, tearing through it. In the chaos, a dozen human troop carriers broke through the Empire's lines and began deploying troops on the surface. K's voice faltered as he described the humans. "It was the first time any of us had seen a human in their armored clothes," he said. "They were unimposing, lacking wings, and few stood taller than 5 telums, a height most would underestimate. But only once," K emphasized. "Humans do not allow you to underestimate them twice." His right hand trembled, his talons scraping against his uniform as he recalled the memory. They pressed the attack from the moment they made contact with the ground. There was no line of battle, no proper forms. They splintered into small groups, lusting for blood. K's troops were cut down in droves. Human flying machines dominated the sky, dropping explosives on his forces while others harried his wingmen. The Emperor's expressionless face was a stark contrast to the horrors the general described. The humans had seen the Imperial encampments from space and struck with precision. K learned later that the humans had deliberately avoided civilian casualties, focusing only on the invaders. Their wave of destruction was total, K said, his voice heavy. The Admiral's fleet was annihilated, and K's ground forces were slaughtered. The Emperor tapped a long curved talon on his throne. "So tell us, K, why are you alive still? If these humans were as terrible as you describe, how did you survive?" The general looked up, meeting the Emperor's gaze. "I am their messenger, Majesty. They kept me alive for their own purposes. I was captured and taken to the leader of their ground forces. He was unremarkable, no finery, indistinguishable from any other soldier. This human leader had spared K so that he might deliver a message. I spent several days as their prisoner and learned much," K said. One thing troubled him above all else, a human phenomenon called adrenaline. When humans became frightened or anxious, their bodies produced a toxic drug that gave them extraordinary abilities: faster reflexes, greater strength, heightened mental acuity. Most of the human soldiers had been pumping this drug into their bodies for hours or days by that point, Kay explained. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. You say they are a race of addicts? That this drug gives them superpowers? Kay nodded. Yes, Your Highness. They have evolved with this capability. It is produced by a gland within every human. Remove it, and the human would die. This adrenaline is their secret weapon. They cannot produce it indefinitely, but when they do... Kay shuddered, trailing off. The Emperor scoffed. We find your story outrageous. A race of addicts to a superpower-creating drug defeats our forces and spares you to tell us this tale. Kay nodded. I understand your skepticism, Your Highness, but the message they sent with me is clear. The Emperor raised an eyebrow. And what is that message? Invade no more worlds. Start no more wars. Keep the peace. Humanity is here now, and they are watching. The Emperor bristled, standing as if to protest, but Kay continued. They also offer friendship. If we send an envoy, they will open diplomatic relations. But I do not believe their ground commander cares for peace. He hopes you will not send an envoy, so that they may continue the fight. The room was silent once more as the weight of Kay's words settled over the court.